Alright, dear viewers, welcome back to Let's Play Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. This is Dr. McMean, and this is the third video in the series, uh, the first one being more of an introduction. So we're continuing on with Billing's Learned Hand, the hunter, the Demonspawn hunter. Fun fact about Billing's Learned Hand, he was a district court and then Second Circuit judge back in the early mid 20th century, and he has been quoted more often by legal scholars than any other lower circuit judge. Is a Wikipedia fact. I'm a huge fan of Wikipedia. It's just really neat. It's the age of technology. So, we return to Billing's Learned Hand, the Demonspawn Hunter, on the third level of the dungeon. We are currently very hungry, which is not very critical. The early levels of the dungeon have a lot of monsters that leave corpses that you can munch down, and we have some perma food, or what these things are called, food that never goes bad. We have some perma food that's not too valuable, like this pear, this apple. They don't refill a whole lot of your hunger rating, so they're good for a little snack when you get close to starving. Also, hunger is not a huge issue for us as a hunter, yet. Aside from, obviously, starving, which is very difficult to do early on, unless you are incredibly unlucky. We don't really have to worry about it. Hunger doesn't affect our skills. It doesn't affect our melee or our bow shooting until we are starving. We can be near starving, the second worst hunger rating, and be fine. Unlike a spellcaster who has to expend hunger in addition to their magic points when they cast spells. Being at very low hunger for a spellcaster is very, very dangerous. Okay, so this is good. We can grab our arrows from here in this room where the eyeball was. Eyeballs by themselves are not particularly dangerous. They just paralyze you from time to time. So if there's anything else around, such as that scorpion, they can be quite deadly. Scorpions are kind of like adders on steroids, attack steroids, something like that. They don't actually get faster. They're much slower than adders. You can keep your distance from a scorpion, although you cannot outrun it. You're both at normal speed. They are much stronger. They deal a lot more damage, and their poison is more deadly than your common adder. All right, we're going to pull this gecko back and hope that he leaves a corpse, which he did not. Perhaps this rat will. Yes, alright. Interestingly, rat flesh is one of the best snacks in the game. It gives you as much nutrition as any other uncontaminated raw flesh. So it actually nourishes you more than goblins and hobgoblins and things. Alright, so we're just going to... Yeah, we can kind of tab through these. Bats also are good to eat for early game. Okay, so here's our next check. This is a very, very, very dangerous situation. We have here an orc. He's not the dangerous one. We have an orc wizard. He can cast a variety of spells. Some of them can go invisible. You can see down at the bottom of the screen, they have different sets of spells. And we hope that he doesn't have books 2 or 3. Although even book 1 is bad. Haste is rough. But even he is not the dangerous one. This guy, this orc priest, is the dangerous one. And the reason why he's incredibly dangerous is because he can smite us. He can call on Bo, the god of orcs, to bring down holy wrath upon us. It's bad for any character because it has smite targeting, which means he doesn't have to have direct line of sight to us. As long as he can see us, or line of shooting, something like that. As long as we're within line of sight, which means he can see us, and line of sight is reciprocal in Crawl, meaning if you can see them, they can see you. He can smite us from anywhere. That's bad for any character, but because we are Demonspawn, we take additional damage from Holy Wrath. Certain weapons have that as a brand, and smiting also inflicts extra pain upon us. So we could very easily die right here. This could be a character death. Fortunately, we have explored a fair amount of the dungeon, and we may be able to run away. So let's start by doing that. Okay, step down. That blocks the line of sight of the priest, which is very good. And he's probably in that first square of Fog of War. Fog of War is the area that we can't see, but we can't currently see, but we have seen. Some people call the unexplored map Fog of War as well, but the actual meaning is the previously explored and currently not visible spaces. Lots of things influence line of sight in this game. Okay, so we see them again. We can probably pull them around this pillar here. Now you'll notice I'm moving very slowly. Here I'm going to pause. I'm going to wait a few turns by pressing... I press the S key. You can also press the period key with the same effect. Okay, that pulls this orc around the corner. Use our half turn there to switch to the bow. We probably should have done that earlier, but getting away was a bigger priority. And you'll notice we have 10 arrows left. This is, again, why bows are better than crossbows. If we were using a crossbow and had 10 bolts left, those might be the only bolts that we get until dungeon level 6 or 7. Whereas arrows, I can be fairly confident that I will find some this level or the next. So I missed the Orc Priest. Now that he's within melee range of us, he's actually much less dangerous, even though he still walloped us for a good 9... Oh, no, he smited us. Okay, well, they must have changed the Priest AI then, because it didn't used to be that they would ever smite you if they were within melee range. That may be something that's unique to Demonspawn. If they see a Demonspawn, they particularly don't like you. Or it may be that they've updated the monster. The Kroll devs are very good about changing the game to keep it fresh. Each version is significantly different from the previous ones in almost always good ways. Some things may become more difficult, but that makes the game fresh as well. Like the Snake Pit used to be a cakewalk, and now it's very, very, very dangerous. Far more dangerous than it was, I believe, in point 13 or earlier. We are on trunk point 14. Okay, so we survived the encounter with the priest, which is excellent. They don't actually give a huge ton of experience, but they are quite dangerous, and so it's good to get rid of them. Okay, so here I'm going to shoot at the wizard. That war axe, I believe, yeah, war axe that orc is carrying could be dangerous to us, but we have enough hit points and somewhat reasonable armor class. Okay, the wizard went invisible, so at this point we might as well switch to our short sword. Yeah, you see he hit us for quite a bit. And then we were also hit by the wizard casting a throw flame skill. Okay, so we are in trouble here. What is the best thing to do in this situation? Probably trying to kill the wizard. Running away would be very difficult in this particular circumstance because he can throw flame at us. So we kind of have to bank on the fact that he's out of mana, since he cast Invisibility, which is I believe, 5th level spell, and then Throw Flame twice, which those are 2nd level spells. So spells cost mana equal to their spell level, so that's a total of 9 mana that he has spent. And he's probably 3 hit die monster, which means he's equivalent to level 3, so he probably is about out of magic. So we can gamble on that, which we will probably do because I really don't want to test quaff any of those potions, and I haven't tested any scrolls yet. So it's likely that one of these 4, one of the ones that's 5 or 2, is a scroll of teleportation, but we can't waste 4 rounds reading scrolls that aren't teleportation, because it also takes a few turns to kick off, and we would just be sitting ducks for this wizard. We could try to duck out of line of sight and get up to that staircase up there. That's probably our best bet if he's out of mana. If he's not, he'll just hit us with another puff of flame, and we will be dead, probably. And that will be the end of this video. But we'll give it a shot. Running away is almost always... Okay, see, that's good. We can see that something dropped a dagger and picked up a war axe. That's an invisible wizard. So he took a turn to do that. That means that we have a much better chance of getting away. Okay, so we can see him over there. He's still 3 spaces away from us. Oh, he regened a mana or 2. We are in so much trouble. He had a lot more mana than I thought he did. But, fortunately, he either did eventually run out, or he just tried chasing us down. Either way, we are very happy that we managed to survive that. Okay, let's slice up this ooze to make us feel better. Okay, so at this point, I need some escape mechanisms. So I'm going to go ahead and read some of these scrolls, and that's good. We have a scroll of Identify. I'm going to go ahead and identify the amulet. I was hoping that it would be Guardian Spirit or something similar. This gives us a mana shield. Part of the damage we receive is taken out of our mana instead of our health. Amulets are generally safe to test on you, and in that case, we probably should have, but I really don't want to get an amulet of inaccuracy right now and have to use a scroll of remove curse, or try and find a scroll of remove curse. And then we're going to ID some potions. Yeah, see, lignification turns us into a tree. That would have been bad to use. Potion of paralysis paralyzes you. That would have been really bad. That's why you generally don't test quaff potions if you can help it. We're getting lucky on these identification scrolls. We had 2 in a row there that had more than one ID on them. I think it's something like I think another streamer said it was a 70% chance of 1, a 20% chance of 2, and a 10% chance of 3, something along those lines. But we are hitting those quite frequently. Generally, you want to ID potions and scrolls of which you have fewer first, because that means that they are the rarer, more powerful, and either more beneficial or more dangerous scrolls and potions. Beneficial mutation would be extremely fun to have. Okay, so we could have waited up there, but I wanted that wizard to still be around and mostly out of mana. Well, he would have regained mana by this point. You can see he looks like he's wielding a staff as well, but no, that's just his graphic. Okay, we're going to try attacking him here with our short sword. He's not very good with that war axe. Okay, he confused us. All right, this is where tab stops working. It says, you are too confused. And here I recommend holding down the control key and then using a direction that will swing your weapon without you moving. Moving is very risky while confused because you can move in any direction, and that can lead you into very deadly situations. Okay, so we're going to switch to our bow and hope that these last 7 arrows finish him off, which it does. Fantastic. Unfortunately, he did not leave a corpse, but we can grab this scroll and our arrows, and then let's skedaddle back up here to rest up. It's a shame that we're as hungry as we are. But okay, so now that we've ID'd some stuff, like you can see those scrolls are visible to us as scrolls of identification. Ouch! Those blowguns are really vicious. Poison needles are rough, but at least they were not curare. We had to turn auto pickup back on because the wizard went invisible. We went up the stairs. We did not see him turn visible, and so we do not pick up items automatically. The game is very nice to you in that sense, in that if there's something that may be hitting you a whole bunch without you being able to see it happen, it stops you from running around picking up items willy-nilly and wasting turns on it. Worker ants, they're risky enough to use arrows on, even though we are running low. Although it looks like we found a stack there. Bat zombies, not dangerous. They are less dangerous even than bats. Okay, excellent. We gained 14 arrows there. That is a huge help to us. Butcher this corpse and eat some of it. We have 21 arrows now, which is that's some walking around money. I really need to be better about switching back to my bow. I rarely play hunters. This is the first one I've played in quite some time. And so the swapping of the weapons is still a little unfamiliar to me. That, and this is also my first Let's Play series. So I am a little bit more distracted than I would be otherwise with both my speech and my play. But hopefully it is not too bad for you, dear viewer. Alright, so here we have a Jackal Pack. We're going to get into this hallway ahead of them, and that eliminates basically all the danger of this situation. None of these enemies are difficult individually. We are pretty strong right now compared to these enemies. Like, these jackals appear on level 1. We're not scared of jackals. That orc, unless he's wielding... let's see, is he wielding something branded? Okay, so he potentially has a branded dagger. It's a runed dagger. It doesn't tell you what it is until you wield it, or identify it. So that could potentially cook us. He hit us. He missed us. Okay. Doesn't look like it's anything special. We might pick it up and try it out. Since by now we assuredly have a Scroll of Remove Curse, and that'll help us get rid of this armor as well. So we're going to try on these rings. They are not cursed. We're going to try that dagger. Ah, haha. We actually really like that. +1 dagger of protection. That gives us 5 additional armor class on top of our scales and our leather armor there. And that is very good this early in the game. That will make a big difference. We will survive a lot more situations that we otherwise might not. And we can just kind of berserk these guys down. Berserkers are a very good background to choose if you are just starting out playing Crawl. I highly recommend it. It starts you off with the God, which means you have a little more to keep track of than you would with most other backgrounds. Ah, see. Bad habits, bad habits. I switched away from the bow, thinking I was walking around with my sword still. We'll just machine gun him down. So yes, you start off with a god. You worship Trog, the god of berserkers, but he lets you go berserk, which greatly increases your hit points, your speed, both movement speed and attack speed, and your damage. It boosts all of those things greatly, particularly in relation to the earlier levels of characters and monsters both. Okay, giant frogs are a little scary. See, just by waiting there for a turn, he woke up. We are not very stealthy at this point, although we will probably put some points into that eventually. We're at almost Bow's level 8, which is decent. It's pretty good. I'll probably get it up to 12 or so if I can, just training it specifically. If we find a spell book, I will probably switch, even if it's not quite at 12, depending on what spell book it is. Oh dear. Oh, yes, so berserkers, yes. So being able to berserk is very, very good early on, is sort of the long and short of that. Here we have, I believe, our first unique. These guys, well, we had a ghost earlier. That was kind of unique. Okay, Menkore. A fair and noble ruler of an ancient and mighty kingdom, mummified after an early death. His faithful priests subsequently infused him with great and powerful magic, seeking to grant him eternal life. Now he is forgotten and reduced to mouldering bandages and dry, brittle bones. There you go. That's Menkare. He's dangerous. He's a mummy. He's susceptible to fire, which unfortunately we have no source of. Which unfortunately we have no source. There we go. But we do have 21 arrows that we can launch at him, so he may kill us, but I think we can take him. Alright, you see he moved out of view, so we're going to pull back to around here so that we can break line of sight with him if we have to. Fortunately, okay, he hasted himself. That's that little boomerang-looking or arrow-looking thing in the top right part of his portrait. So he can hit us relatively quickly, but, haha, we managed to arrow him down. Hunters are really good. Very, very good. Crossbows are even more powerful, but as I said, it's very rare that you find crossbows. Or crossbow bolts, rather. Extremely rare that you would find a crossbow this early. Okay, so here is a good time. Not right this moment, but in a moment we are going to try on this ring so that it triggers that curse that Menkare just placed upon it. Oh, wow. I was just running willy-nilly and went definitely one space too far. That made a dangerous situation into a potentially lethal situation. That's why this game is so much fun and so very difficult, because you after the first level or two where you can die just through bad luck purely, like having Sigmund on level 2 or running into a bunch of adders and getting poisoned, basically every time you die it's your fault. The game does not throw things at you that are so unexpected that you could not have anticipated them and either avoided them or prepared for them. And the rest of the time it's because you run into a situation that you should have run away from. You should always be running away. Never, never, never walk towards a monster unless you're distracted and recording a video and setting bad examples. The reason why taking one step forward was potentially lethal is because it went from being able to... here, I'll use the map key, which is Shift X, capital X. That lets you move this little box around the map and view things. We were standing right here. Prince Ribbit was right here. That's the frog with the crown. He's a transformed human prince who's a real jerk. I don't know if... I would be annoyed if I had been turned into a frog, certainly. So he was here, and this hound... where would he have been? Yeah, he moved out of view, so he was probably... I think we might have seen him... Well, he was probably here or here. Possibly here. Now he is closer, so he's going to get at least one attack on us when we move back here. And he'll probably get 2 when we move here. Prince Rivet will also get to move a couple of times, and we have no staircase nearby. We didn't test read any more of those scrolls, so we don't know which one is teleportation, so that's risky as well. What potions do we have? We have flight. That doesn't help. Agility might work all right. We did find cure or heal wounds, which is nice. That cures any status ailments you have, like poison or confusion, and restores a small number of hit points, between 10 and 15, I believe. Heal wounds generally does not cure any status ailments, but restores a large number of hit points, I believe between 20 and 30, something around there. So we may survive this. I'm not sure where we're going to go. I think what I may do is make a break for this staircase. It's very dangerous, but I don't know that I have a choice. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I believe that Prince Ribbit does not cast spells. Okay, teleport self, so he can blink. The reason why that's extremely dangerous is because he can teleport himself behind us and cut off our escape route. But we're going to hope that he does not do that, and that he instead follows the hound, and thus has no way to attack us. Apparently he blinked to his same location. Alright, see here, he blinked behind us. If we had been one step behind where we are now, we would have been dead, most likely. But here, we can move diagonally. We still are not in good shape. I am going to try and go up these stairs. Okay. That is the one nice thing about Prince Ribbit, is that he does not necessarily follow you all the way to the stairs. Sometimes he will blink. We still may die to this hound. Hounds are tough. They attack very rapidly. But we survived. Whew. That was pretty intense. That's a really rough dungeon 4. Prince Ribbit is nobody to be messed with. Blink frogs in general. That's what the teleporting frogs are called. Yes, the game has teleporting frogs. Blink frogs are always dangerous, but Prince Ribbit is especially so. Okay, so we are going to put on this cursed ring, and then we are going to test read some of these scrolls. All right, enchant weapon 1. That's fine. We'll enchant this bow, even though it's nothing special. Okay, remove curse. Yeah, so remove curse is generally one of the most common scrolls to find. There's nothing wrong with that armor. I don't know why I had to take it off there. Okay. So, oh, another thing that I had forgotten to do earlier is switch the dagger to that A slot, so that when we switch back and forth between weapons, we equip the dagger of protection and get the armor class bonus. Armor class, for those who are unfamiliar with the dungeon crawl version, reduces the damage that you take when you have been hit by an amount between 1 and your armor class. And I'm not sure if it's completely at random or if it's weighted. I believe it's fully random. But the other benefit that armor grants is something called guaranteed damage reduction, which is a percentage of the incoming damage that will be by which the hit will be reduced, even if you would roll under that amount on the random check. Leather armor, which is very light armor, has, I believe, about a 10%, maybe a 12% guaranteed damage reduction stat. So any hit is usually going to be a point softer at this point in the game, which is not a lot, but 1 point can be the difference between life and death. Okay, so I don't want to go back down these stairs, which I almost did, because Prince Ribbit is sitting right at the bottom, and we don't want to encounter him face-to-face, if we can help it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the map with Shift X, and then I'm going to press Shift period, the greater than sign, to find the next down staircase, or down thing. Okay. So somewhere on this level is Prince Ribbit, which means that probably I want to not be on it. I'm going to pull this orc back, and I'm going to stab him a lot with the dagger. I probably should have pulled him so that I was on the staircase. That would have been the cautious, intelligent thing to do. But it's an orc. I'm not particularly concerned. Now I'm a little bit concerned because there are several orcs, but now we're generally safe from wizards when we have this much of a gap between us and them. The fact that there are several of them is not particularly pleasant, but we should be fine. Yeah, regular orcs, like I said, really not dangerous at all, except as a screen for other monsters. A screen being things that block your shot, your line of shot. Oh, okay. This is another thing the Auto Explorer can do to you maliciously. It's just because it's an algorithm. It can only do so much, and that is run you into vaults without warning you. A vault, if you missed it last time, is a specifically designed unique set of tiles in an otherwise random level. There are also certain branches, whole separate levels that are vault-like, such as the wizard laboratories, are physically the same every time, although the enemies vary. So here we have Pykel. Pykel is a slaver. He has 4 human slaves that surround him and reluctantly attack you at his direction until you kill Pykel, at which point they thank you for their freedom and proceed to run around the level with great annoyance. And since morals take a backseat to finding the Orb of Zot, that's the ultimate goal of this game, to find the Orb of Zot and reach the entrance again. Morals, especially, we're a Demonspawn, and we're named after a judge, so that's double reason to later snack on those humans, because they are free sources of meat, essentially, that do not die when you go to other levels of the dungeon. But this is assuming that we survive this encounter, because once again we have blundered into a dangerous situation. Fortunately, we do have our bow equipped. Unfortunately, that slave is blocking our view of Pykel. So here, we will probably just flee down those stairs. I really should not have been auto-exploring this level in the first place, because Prince Ribbit is still alive. And now we have 2 uniques on this level to deal with. This, again, may be the death of us. You can see how rapidly a not at all dangerous situation becomes incredibly dangerous. That's why you should never play this game when you're bored. If you're bored of playing Crawl, save it. Leave the character. Come back to it later when you feel like playing. You are under no obligation to clear the level or even take another step. The game will not move when you are not here. Uh, that is my number one piece of advice for surviving in Crawl. If you are doing things by routine, if you're just pressing buttons over and over again because it's the same button you've been pressing, stop playing for a while. Take a break. Go outside. Alright, so we fled down the stairs. There was an orc down here waiting for us, unfortunately, but that's not too terrible. In fact, we're even going to ignore him in favor of this slave for the first hit. I believe the orc hurt us more, so we're actually going to go ahead and kill him. He was wielding a flail, which is a medium strength, low to medium strength mace. Mace and flail category. Okay. Alright, yeah, that felt strangely unrewarding. You don't get any experience benefit from killing the slaves. They at least recognize that, you know, they're not out to get you, man. They're just trying to survive. It's a rough world in the Dungeon of Sot. Ooh. Probably took an extra step too far there, but I'm actually glad I know that the adder is there, since I don't believe he'll wake up by taking this step back. That blue glowy thing, a weird purpley guy, is a sky beast. Sky beasts can zap you with electricity, not from a distance. Their melee attack can shock you. They can also turn invisible, which is more problematic since... never mind. This ring that we happen to have two equipped of, unbeknownst to us, was a ring of See Invisible, so we can even try on that ring now, which I'm not going to do immediately. We're going to back off first. So we have this bat as a screen, which is nice. The bat's not going to do any damage to us. So that lets us swap out this ring, just in case. This might be a ring of resist electricity, and we would discover that if the Sky Beast shocks us, and it is the case. So we want to have it equipped. And in this instance, I think I'm going to go ahead and switch to the bow. We're down to 14 arrows, which is not awesome. I really hope I find some fairly soon. Okay, so we kill the bat zombie. Again, if you try and fire at something that is behind another monster, it first makes a check against the monster in front, as if you had fired at it. If you miss the monster in front, and you fired behind it, then the arrow will continue and potentially hit the thing behind it. You can stop that from happening by aiming at a space and pressing the period key instead of enter. And that will shoot your arrow directly at that spot and only that spot and not beyond. This is useful if you have summoned allies, for example, that are standing behind a monster that you really need to perforate. Take care of that jackal. We'll take care of this worm. Worms are very strong. Don't get me wrong. They can pack a punch. Do not run into battle as lightly as I just did. If you're lower than, level 7 on Dungeon 5, then you're probably fine. We found a shop. Shops are useful. We don't have much money at this point. 166 gold. It is an antique shop, which means the items are not identified, but they are much cheaper and potentially powerful. It doesn't appear that there is really anything here for us. I am somewhat tempted by the runed trident. If we wanted to branch out into a melee skill, spears are definitely not bad for a Demonspawn hunter. We're going to try and raise our dexterity a little bit at some point, especially since our scales are reducing it, if we want to continue using bows. But tridents are generally weighted towards dexterity, meaning they gain damage from dexterity and not strength. For the most part, it's I think a 60-40 or a 70-30 split for tridents. But we don't have a really strong incentive to pick a melee stat yet. I am going to go ahead and turn on fighting and dodging and keep bows focused. So you can, with manual, you can either distribute experience equally amongst your stats, or you can focus it, which doubles the percentage that it receives, I think. So if you have two skills, it's, as you can see, 66-33 instead of 50-50. Or it gives it half again the experience level. Anyway, we're going to focus bows, but also trickle some points into fighting and dodging. Fighting slightly increases, very, very slightly increases your skill with weapons, both ranged and melee in combat. And it also provides you with more hit points. It's more valuable later on. It's roughly 0.0125, I think, is the number, hit points per fighting rank per level. So at like level 8, which we're close to there, each rank of fighting is going to give us a hit point, which is useful. Every little bit counts. I think at this point I'm going to stop this video since it has been a little while and that was just a lot of exposition. I'll give you guys a breather, and I will see you next time.